You just got paid. Direct deposit hits Friday morning, and for about 6 glorious hours, you feel rich. Then Saturday shows up. Rent, car payment, that credit card minimum you've been pushing around like a sad piece of broccoli on your plate, streaming services you forgot you subscribed to, gas, groceries, and by Sunday night, you're staring at your banking app wondering how, somehow, again, you're closer to broke than you were before payday. You're not lazy. You're not stupid. You actually make decent money. And yet you owe more this year than you did last year. Your starter credit card from college is now your, I guess this is just my life now, credit card. That car loan you swore you'd pay off early, still chugging along. If that hit too close to home, stay with me. What I'm about to show you isn't your fault, but it is your responsibility. And once you see how this trap actually works, you can never unsee it. My name is Jesse, and I spend way too much time thinking about consumer debt and why financially normal people stay financially stuck. If you're someone who feels like you're working harder every year just to tread water, hit subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. It tells the algorithm to push this to other people who need it. Okay, let's get into it. Here's the thing. Most personal finance advice you've ever heard is some version of spend less than you earn. Technically true, but that advice is about as useful as telling someone struggling with their weight to just eat less. It describes the outcome, not the mechanism. Look, I'll say something that might sting. Debt isn't really a math problem for most people. If it were, it would already be solved. According to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, total consumer debt recently crossed $17 trillion. Credit card balances alone are north of $1 trillion. These aren't all reckless people. They're teachers, nurses, engineers, normal people. So if it's not a math problem, what is it? It's a system. A perfectly designed system. And you are not the customer. You're the product. Let me throw some numbers at you. The average American household carrying credit card debt owes around $7,800. Doesn't sound apocalyptic, but the average credit card APR is around 22%. Some are over 29. Here's where it gets dark. If you make only minimum payments on that balance, you'll be paying for over 30 years. You'll pay more than 3 times the original amount in interest alone. A $7,800 mistake becomes a $25,000 mistake. And here's what most people don't realize. Credit card companies aren't hoping you pay it off. They're hoping you don't. Industry insiders have a name for people who pay their cards in full every month. They call them deadbeats. Yes, really. The financially responsible person is the deadbeat. That tells you everything about whose side this game is rigged for. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Jesse, but I'm not an idiot. Why do smart people fall for this? The answer is your brain. Your brain was built for a world where the biggest financial decision was whether to trade 2 goats for a cow. Not for one-click checkout, 24-month financing, and Instagram ads that know you better than your therapist. There's a concept called the pain of paying. When you hand over physical cash, your brain registers a small ache, real, measurable discomfort. That ache is a feature. Studies from MIT show people will pay up to 100% more for the same item using a credit card versus cash. 100%. That impulse latte would have stayed at the counter if you'd had to count out actual dollar bills. Now layer in Tap to Pay, Apple Pay, Buy Now, Pay Later. Each layer of convenience strips away the protective ache. By the time you're tapping a watch to buy a $40 t-shirt in 4 installments of $10, your brain has no idea you're spending money. None. Here's an analogy. Imagine if every time you ate a cookie, the calories didn't show up on the scale until 18 months later. How many cookies would you eat? That's modern debt. This is where it gets really interesting. There's a second force at play. Economists call it the hedonic treadmill. It's why a raise feels amazing for 3 weeks, then becomes your new normal. You got the promotion, bought the slightly nicer car, moved into the slightly nicer apartment, upgraded the phone. Now you feel exactly the same as before, except your fixed expenses are higher and one bad month puts you back on the credit card. Here's what most people don't realize. Lifestyle inflation isn't a side effect of earning more. It's the entire mechanism by which the middle class stays in debt. The person making 50 grand and the person making 150 grand often have similar net worths because the second person just bought a more expensive version of the same trap. Let's talk math. You've heard about compound interest. What nobody tells you is that compounding works in both directions. When you're invested, it works for you. When you're in debt, it works against you with the same merciless efficiency. Picture two people, Sarah and Mike, both 25. Same salary. Sarah carries a $5,000 credit card balance at 22% and just pays minimums. Mike has no debt and invests $250 a month into an index fund, averaging 8%. 30 years later, Sarah has paid roughly $15,000 in interest and still has a balance. Mike's $90,000 in contributions has grown to roughly $375,000. The gap between them isn't $5,000, it's closer to $400,000. That's the cost of a single bad financial decision your brain told you wasn't a big deal, because the minimum was only $90 a month. Here's the part nobody talks about. The debt trap doesn't just take your money, it takes your options. You can't quit the job that's killing you, can't take a pay cut for a better career, can't move, can't start a business. Every dollar of debt is a tiny chain. Collectively, they decide where you live, how you spend your time, and how much of your one finite life you'll trade for someone else's profit margin. That's what should make you angry. Not at yourself, at the situation. You didn't choose this. You were marketed into it. Okay, enough doom. Here's what to do, starting today. Step 1. Get the full picture. Open every account. Write down every balance, every interest rate, every minimum. Total it up. You cannot escape a trap you refuse to look at. The number isn't the problem, the avoidance is. Step 2. Stop the bleeding. Cut up the cards if you have to. Remove them from Amazon, from your phone wallet, from every saved checkout. Reintroduce friction. Bring back the pain of paying. Step 3. Pick a method and commit. The avalanche method targets the highest interest debt first, mathematically optimal. The snowball method attacks the smallest balance first for quick wins. Studies show snowball users are more likely to actually finish because momentum matters more than math when you're exhausted. Pick whichever you'll stick to. Step 4. Find money where it's hiding. Audit your subscriptions. Most people leak $50 to $200 a month on services they barely use. Renegotiate insurance, phone, internet. Call once a year and ask for a better rate. That money goes straight to the debt. Step 5. Build a $1,000 buffer first, before aggressively attacking debt. Why? Because if you have zero in savings and your tire blows out, the credit card funds the new tire. You undo all your progress in one bad week. A small buffer breaks the cycle. Here's the last piece, and maybe the most important. Stop thinking of yourself as someone who's bad with money. That story is a prison. You were handed a financial education that consisted of basically nothing, then dropped into the most aggressive consumer marketing environment in human history. The fact that you're still standing means you're not bad with money. You're resilient. You just need information. Real wealth isn't what you drive or where you vacation. It's the absence of financial fear. It's waking up on a Tuesday without that low hum of dread when you think about your accounts. That version of your life is real. And it's not reserved for people making six figures. It's reserved for people who decide to step off the treadmill. Look, this video probably brought up uncomfortable stuff. Maybe you're sitting there mentally adding up balances and feeling sick. That feeling? That's not despair. That's clarity. Don't waste it. Tonight, before bed, do one thing. Open your accounts. Write the real number down. That's step 1. It's the hardest one. Now, here's the deal. I'll be straight with you. If this video didn't make you think, didn't shake something loose, didn't give you one thing you can use, then honestly, you're probably not going to see us again. And that's okay. We're not for everyone. But if something here hit different, if you felt that little click where you realized, wait, this is actually about me, then you need to be here. Hit subscribe right now before you forget. We upload every Tuesday and Friday, and missing them is missing the map. And listen, Friday's video is going to be even better than this one. It's called Why Your Income is Growing But You're Still Broke. By the end of it, you're going to understand something about your own paycheck that almost nobody talks about. The kind of thing that, once you see it, changes how you look at every raise and every paycheck for the rest of your life. You don't want to miss that. So subscribe, turn the bell on, because the algorithm doesn't always do you that favor. Smash the like button if this hit home. It costs you nothing and tells YouTube to push this to the next person silently drowning, the way you might have been 5 minutes ago. Drop a comment. Tell me which part landed hardest. Tell me your number if you're brave enough. I read them all, and they shape every video I make. You are not stuck. You were just never given the map. Now you have it. I'll see you on the next video.